Okay, so Sarah, how are you finding the week so far? It's only Monday, right?
Been a bit of an intense week. I was really excited about my portfolio at the end of last week. It had been going up and up, and I was like, "Oh, this is so exciting!" And then obviously yesterday, I mean, it didn't crash because I've got a lot in my portfolio, but yeah, I saw it. I saw it was down quite a bit, and I was like, "Oh God, what's caused that?" And then saw that obviously Nvidia had crashed. I think it was like 17% yesterday. But
18.
honestly, or 18, I'm not surprised. The US isn't the only country building AI, and it was always going to be that there were going to be competitors, other countries were going to be investing in it. And obviously, China does have the resources, the people, the intelligence to do this and to do it well and to do it cheaper and to offer something that people want. Because at the end of the day, I think in AI, we need things that are going to push the boundaries and are going to transform the world and make a real change and be really innovative. But also, a lot of us use things like ChatGPT day to day, and honestly, that doesn't need to be world breaking. It doesn't need to be groundbreaking. It just needs to be good enough, accessible, and if it's free, then people are going to go for it, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not entirely surprised.
So look, I think that there's so many things to consider. So my sleeping patterns are still really weird. So basically, I was up at like, I don't know, 2 in the morning on Sunday. And then I saw that Bitcoin went from 105 to like 102, 101, and basically it was going down. And I was just thinking to myself, what the heck is happening? Is this Japan carry trade 2.0? Because all of last week I had been following this amazing guy, he's hilarious, called Traders Reality. And he was the only influencer really talking about Japan raising their interest rate, right? So as we saw on the 5th of August, Jesus, there was that crash that took place. So anyway, the Japan did raise their interest rate, right? But nothing happened. And so then I think Wall Street or, whoever the market manipulators had to find another story.
Yeah.
We have I mean, this is a very possibly cynical point of view, but Sarah, we've been engaging with one another for so many months now. You have followed my retail trading and investing journey. It is so hard for a retail individual to actually
Yeah.
succeed in trading and even investing because the system is really gamed. So, I mean, so basically, let me just elaborate on that a little bit. So, I think in terms of market manipulation, for lack of a better term, so you had this DeepSeek company, and actually, interestingly, CNBC, this awesome woman, she's half Asian, I think, and I think she's Canadian, Deirdre Bossa. So
Okay.
they broke the story on Friday about DeepSeek, and then everything they had talked about um, essentially kind of became big on the Monday. So basically, my view is that um, it's actually great um, for inclusion and
Hmm.
democracy and customer choice to
Yeah.
have competition. In terms of ethics, quality, security, originality, um, I think all of that will need to be closely considered. It's open source, so the power
Yeah.
of the people is at play. However, I'm really sorry, but I don't think you could ever replicate decades of human intelligence hundreds of millions and billions of, or maybe even trillions of dollars to create what has been created in the West. It's so funny on X, on Twitter, there's a post that's going around how the US is the originator, and then China is the replicator,
Yeah.
and then Europe is the regulator. So essentially for me, I look at that as the US are like the ancient and classical Greeks, right? So they came up with this idea. They're like the first to kind of intellectualize emotions. And then the Romans basically just copied their ideas and like took it to the world, right? And then I don't know what Europe is the
No, I
equivalent,
don't know. No,
but
but you need everything, right? You need these three players to make the world go round, really.
oh
And
oh,
without China, where would we be? Without them being the replicators, we need that, right?
100%. And to be honest with you, I think this is great for the AI market because it just really proves that it's here to stay. You know, how China has how many billions of people, right? Is it like, yeah, over a billion. And then you've got India. There's another funny X post. A guy was saying that India is creating their own. It's called DeepSeek, and it's like
Yeah.
and
Have you
it's
seen, oh, sorry, go on.
no, go on.
Have you seen the Morning Brew kind of skit video about it?
Yeah, I thought it was
It's
okay. I
I
prefer
quite
their.
liked it.
It was good.
I liked the why is Meta in the room? Like
I
why are you here?
They're so rude. I think they have better ones. Like I love their skits, like, and how they're characterized. But yeah, no, I think there's just so many good posts that are coming up. But then at the same time, I'm like, oh my god, please, no more, no more, because you just
Yeah.
want the info. Like in my opinion, because like if you compare Amazon to Temu, right? They were saying that Temu would be bigger than Amazon. Hasn't really happened. If you look at Apple, my gosh, versus Samsung, huge companies, right? And then there's also all the many other knockoffs of both. But Apple is still a mainstay. You know, it's
Mm.
closed. And then there's all these other open sources. I think it's just really brilliant to have choice. So now we've got ChatGPT. I do pay the $20 a month or whatever it is.
Same.
And then I did try DeepSeek. And then I was actually slightly scared because I'm like, oh my God, I don't know where I'm giving my details to. But I use NordVPN basically for extra protection. And then I'm trying Grok, which is free. But the annoying thing about Grok is like it's all delivered by Elon, right? It's all on the X platform because he's trying to
Okay, yeah.
yeah, because he's trying to build the X platform. He's been always obsessed with this idea of X, basically, like ever since like he was at PayPal, of this idea of a new way for finance and for payments. So he wants it all. So X is going to be much more than it is. It's actually pretty
Mm.
brilliant. His book, it's honestly, love him or hate him, it's worth a read. But basically, um, I'm trying out Grok as well. So we've got so much
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. But do you know what's interesting? And I don't know if this is the way that Elon wants to take X, but it feels to me he's trying to make something a little bit like WeChat, which is kind of the super app where everything happens. You chat, you make payments, you have everything. And it's just kind of funny that obviously he would never say this, but it does seem to me that that's the direction that he's going in.
Oh my God. You're more Chinese than I am, and I'm actually partially Chinese. You're probably right. But it's like Alibaba as well, right? Like when Alibaba first came out, I'm like, what the hell is this? It's just like a wholesale selling thing. And I mean, I love the choices that we have, right? So like if you look at Temu again or Shein or all of those, like which are controversial in their own way, and people knock them, and maybe rightfully so in some circumstances because of their labor practices, etc. But essentially, they're making things, merchandise, much more affordable and accessible to people. Whereas back in the day, the Chinese or the East had to deal with a middleman, a middle person, who would then take a cut of profit, and then the end customer ends up paying more, but still feels that they're paying less because it's coming from China. And now the Chinese are like, D2C, directly to the customer. But am I going to stop buying Apple? No, I have a Samsung too. Am I going to replace like heritage Burberry trench coat with like a Temu $21 knockoff? No, right?
No, but you probably would have I think everyone will have a little bit of a mix of everything. We like to say that, a lot of people like to think that they wouldn't dabble in this kind of fast fashion, but sometimes you just need it. Sometimes it fits a purpose and it's necessary. And I think it's just normal that we'll have a little bit of everything, and that and it's great that we have the choice to just, get what we need when we need it.
Yeah. Oh my God, 100%. Like my wardrobe is a mix of vintage and designer and high street stuff, and basically mix it all together, and looks fantastic, right? Who can always afford like a 2,000 pound Brunello Cucinelli like jumper? Come on. Maybe if this is where, but then this is where again we have to think about, even though it's not cool, ESG, or beginning with ethics, right? So the thing with fast fashion, and I've been told by the ex-CEO of ASOS, who is brilliant, that, my God, fast fashion, it's a term that's been coined to like catch as a catch-all. But essentially what we're seeing, what at least I'm seeing with myself, is because it is so affordable. You can buy jeans for $10, right? Or £10 or less. And then you end up just over consuming.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, no, I didn't pay £2,000 for Brunello Cucinelli. As much as I admire the guy, amazing backstory. We should do a story about him and his family. But I did buy a few pieces from Brunello Cucinelli in a secondhand place, and brilliant. So basically, I think if we're going to look at this from the perspective of AI, Jesus, what the heck is going to happen with the significant availability of tech, right? Of varying qualities. Number one, a fear of Elon Musk, for example, is for AI to be used for bad. And then the other things we have to look at is like, what is this going to do for cognition, for originality, right?
Yeah. I think there's such a debate. I think the problem is at the moment we don't actually know what we want technology to do for us. We don't know which part of our lives we actually want technology in. I was listening to a few things actually, which were really interesting. One was at CES, looking at some of the kitchen kind of tech from CES, and like there were these outrageous gadgets like an AI coffee maker, which had like robotic arms and things like that, and an AI microwave and an AI fridge. And like some of it you can see where it's useful. Like the AI fridge will tell you what's in the fridge, what's close to its use by date, what do you need if you want to make this recipe, then this is what you need because this is what you have in your fridge. And you can remotely see what's in your fridge. okay, fine. But an AI coffee maker and an AI microwave that tells you how much, how much longer your chicken needs in the microwave or whatever. I'm kind of like, is this really, do we need to be spending the money on this? And then on the flip side, it's obviously the massive concern that parents have about kids using phones, social media, and then how AI is going to be thrown into the mix with this, and even already how AI is being used in like bullying, in like revenge porn and things like this, like horrible things that it's being used for. And parents are just like, like, what do I do? How do I stop my kid from being able to access this? And I think we don't know what to do at the moment.
Yeah, this is where technology is moving much faster than what we can actually process as human beings. I think it's a force for good, but I think there is that point that has been made for such a long time, including in my old company at Equinity. Our former CEO, Guy Wakely, is an engineer and actually has a PhD in artificial intelligence. Like this was years ago, right? And back then we were talking about the ethics of AI. And honestly, it does worry me because anything can be weaponized, right? And basically
Mhm.
it's going to become bigger and bigger and bigger. More people will be inputting into, this technology. And if it's just if it's one view or any views that are extremely dangerous, then will that skew what comes out of the technology that we're using? And in this regards, what you're saying, like AI, everything, come on, like, look, I mean, my home is kitted out everywhere with like Google Home, right? But then it took me like a while it took me a while to set it up. It wasn't too hard, but now basically my modem has my router has died or is not in, it has to be replaced. And so then basically now uh, like none of my Google Homes are working because I have
You have
to
to reconnect everything.
reconnect everything. So and then the lights and everything as well. So it's just all really it's all really great, but also scary. And I think from the commercial side of things, it's really interesting because you particularly were like applauding the whole Stargate 500 billion. Holy shit, right? That is substantial. It was funny, the morning Bruce kid, they were like the way they represented Sam Altman. Yeah, like the 500 billion. When do I get that? And
Yeah.
it's really funny. Actually, there's a lot of controversy, but it's really interesting, right? Because that came out last week. And then on the sorry, Monday morning, um, all this about DeepSeek, China. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of forces at play. And I think now, Sarah, because like we're both so deep into this whole trading, retail trading and investing thing, I question so much everything I read in the media
Hmm.
because I'm like, who has given this information? Because it just seems so convenient often when I'm trading and there's like all these, it's supposed to go up, but then suddenly it crashes. Um, or like a story will, and it's just so interesting. So basically, how do you
Yeah.
think the whole Stargate um, um, news and then China, do you think it's like a it's like a technology war? And so China's like,
Maybe I
no.
I was I was quite excited by Stargate because I think a lot of people, politicians, just talk a lot about, we're going to invest in this new technology, we're going to invest in new innovation, and then it just never comes, or it's something tiny. But I thought it was actually, no matter what I think about Trump in general, I think it was impressive that he already had this lined up. He already had you know, the biggest companies in the world ready to make this investment, ready to be involved. He had a plan, and he just came straight out of the gate and was like, okay, boom, 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 this is what we're doing. It's going to make this many jobs. It's going to make this impact. I think, you know, they were talking about how it can be used in healthcare, which I think is a really amazing use for AI. I think that's what we need to be spending the money on, like the especially what it can do for things like cancer detection is unreal, and that's where we should be spending money. Like that's where we should be pushing the boundaries with AI. And I think like that's why I was quite impressed with that. But then yeah, I think the technology market is massive, right? And I think there's room for a lot of different players in the market. And I think if China's going to come out and bring you know, a new lower cost, more accessible version of ChatGPT, then I think that's great. Like it's going to push everything to be there's like competition, I think is good. And I think Trump will see it as yeah, he'll see it as a war, like a war that he needs to fight.
Well,
Personally, I don't see it that way.
well, I think it begs the question how the world will be going to war with one another. So there's already these theories that we aren't going to be fighting like the way we used to fight before, like with arms. We're going to be fighting with trade and with technology. And I think to a certain extent, you know, you have like the superpower USA putting out information out there, and then naturally you're going to have another superpower counterattacking. It's interesting that you know, Nvidia's reaction was actually very positive, and the same with Sam Altman. And you know, I guess it's like good sportsmanship. And $6 million to create this. Wow. Apparently. Um, again, this is the power of the people. So there's just so much to process. And in any case, this is how I'm looking at it. And as regards the stock market and crypto, well, look, I think the, the crypto Bitcoin only dumped 3% yesterday, around 3.5, 3%. So for Bitcoin, that's actually nothing. And then Nvidia's drop of 18%. Oh my God. But and you know, MicroStrategy, there's so many people who want to who are shorting it. And actually, that's exactly what Michael Saylor wants. He wants volatility, but it didn't even decline so much. And Tesla is back over 400. But essentially, I think will we see a little bit of a bounce? It's, you know, it's 30 minutes before now, 30 minutes before US opens right now. Will we see a bounce up? I think so.
Yeah.
Nvidia's already at 122, 123. I haven't checked. And then basically Bitcoin, I think maybe it will just range. The altcoins have been, oh my God, it's been going on. The altcoins are suffering so very much, but there's still hope that there will be some kind of altcoin season. But basically, let's see. Let's see. And then there's the FOMC. If Jerome Powell does put out the right tone of voice, obviously he has said, you know, when Donald Trump was asked on, can you influence the Fed? And I think his answer is like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure, you know, it's like these boroughs, no matter if like if they're a boomer or like Gen X, they constantly swing their aubergine, right? I'm not allowed to say that. But basically, I think the forecast is that the Fed will announce more interest rate cuts beyond the two.
Yeah.
Which will then lead to another rally. So then you'll have Wall Street buying back all the positions they dumped, but at a lower price, including Bitcoin.
Yeah. Well, after we in our last
And
newsletter
Nvidia.
we mentioned well, Trend Intelligence had their analysis that was saying that this bull run wasn't going to last forever, that there would be especially the S&P 500 would drop at some point. And I was thinking at the end of the last week, like, should I sell everything right now and then buy everything back in a few weeks' time? And I'm kind of like, maybe I should have. But yeah, oh well, we
Yeah,
can't time and everything.
look, it takes ages to understand, to trade and invest well. Like, there is no shortcut. It's insane. I think what I'm learning, Sarah, is basically what I'm learning the most is I need to study the ways of smart money, of the big money. If one is going to be seriously trading alongside long-term investing, don't do what retail do. Find a way of under of learning how the big money do it. Like, Bitcoin again, right? BlackRock, ETFs, and all these other institutions being involved in Bitcoin is really changing the game. So when I see massive swings up and down, I always wonder, is Uncle Larry waiting to buy more? Is that why the price is lower? I sound so skeptical or whatever, but basically, I think we have to always be questioning, and we always it's important to have a contrarian view from time to time. So I think generally what I've learned being a retail investor and trader who has lost a lot is whenever the market is doing one thing, like dumping, you should be doing the opposite.
That's scary.